like Heathers. Like a lot. The movie has to be in my top 10 films of all time, and the musical is in my top 5 stage show musicals. However, it dawned on me. Which one is superior? That's it, that's the video. Okay, so both Veronicas are pretty good. The movie's better. Look, musical Veronica has a lot of strengths. Like, she's quirky. And it's funny. It's exemplified every time she shows interest in JD, and I just love it. It's also in the scene where Heather Chandler dies. Don't like it there as much, but hey, I laughed. Now, movie Veronica lacks that quirkiness, but I'd argue she's a better person. Both the movie and musical do share scenes of Veronica being a good person, like her saving Heather McNamara's life. But I'd argue that her hanging out with Martha at the end is more powerful in the movie, as in that continuity, they're not friends. So that act came from the fact that she's being a genuinely good person, and not from realizing that she's an asshole and bad friend. Also in the movie, Veronica kills Kurt. That's like, fuck, I don't know the words. I like it, minus the fact that the scene's kinda dumb. But I mean, in the musical, Veronica admits to the murders. I like that too. Okay, I just think the movie Veronica works better with the theme. The musical one's better. He's just far more intimidating. Like, look at his first confrontation with Kurt and Ram. In the movie, he just pulls out a gun and shoots blanks. But in the musical, he kicks their ass. His beliefs are also more valid in the musical. Like, after killing Kurt and Ram, everyone becomes less homophobic. Which is really surprising because they live in Ohio. Not to mention, Heather Duke becomes a mythic bitch in the movie because JD talks her into it. But in the musical, she just takes advantage of the fact that Heather Chandler died. JD also pulls a gun on Veronica twice before their final confrontation. And even after getting shot, he plays dead so Veronica doesn't know how to defuse the bomb. And his death actually makes sense this time. In the movie, he kills himself because he's an edgy asshole. While in the musical, he kills himself to save Veronica's life. Musical JD's just far more based. Now for the
titular
characters. They're pretty much the same personality-wise. Like, look at Heather McNamara. They're both perfect. But yeah, there's some changes with the other two. Like, in the movie, Heather Chandler spits on her reflection, which is missing in the musical. But I feel as if that's a plus for the musical. I know that scene is supposed to show some sympathy for Heather Chandler, but the movie doesn't really do anything with it. And for Heather Duke, I already mentioned the differences between the two of them. I like the musical one more. I like the musical versions of these characters more, and I forgot to say that, so I'm adding it later in post, and I stuttered a lot, and it's like my 15th day, and I want to fucking kill. The movie's funnier. What else do you want me to say? Yeah, this is a hard one, 'cause they're both masterpieces. But yeah, they got their own strengths and weaknesses. Like stated before, Heather Duke being a mythic bitch was due to JD in the movie. That's cringe. JD has a weak argument in the movie because of it. But the musical has Veronica getting fed up with Heather Chandler at a school party. So she should stop being popular throughout the rest of the story, but it doesn't really get acknowledged. Nor does anything bad happen because of it. Minus the death. There's also minor things, like Veronica's mom's reaction to Veronica's supposed suicide. Like, it's more of a joke in the movie compared to the musical where she screams. But the musical does fuck up Martha. I know there's an argument that she's a real character now and not a plot device. But in turn, it kind of makes the story generic. Veronica learns to stay true to herself, which isn't every single loser kid becomes popular story. Though the musical does something great. And it's the fact that it's a musical. Its themes are just so prevalent in the music. It can especially be seen in the first song, Beautiful, which is an absolute bop. And the soundtrack isn't Dear Evan Hansen tier. And it's a soundtrack, thus it has songs. And it's much easier to listen to songs than watch a movie. So, the superior form of Heathers is... I don't know.
Hey dude, what are you talking about?
Well, Mr. Libertarian Atheist, I was just wondering which is a better version of Heathers, the movie or musical?
Musicals are gay.
Okay.
But I will say, it's a lot better than that Riverdale episode in the TV show. But before we get into that, first a word from our sponsor, Raid. It sucks. It has nothing to do with Heathers. They just jam in the music from the musical all willy-nilly. And they change the lyrics for songs. Like, bro, I love Candy Store. You can't do this to me. But I will say, when the episode is just Riverdale, it's pretty enjoyable. There's something about cults and drug dealer moms. That's funny. I like that. The episode also gave me a boner. You didn't hear that? Bros, it's so ass. Like, look at this. Heather's a guy, Heather's black, and Heather's fat. I at least thought they mastered Veronica, my Aryan queen. But then they made her half Jewish. If Hitler were real, this type of behavior wouldn't have happened.
Dude!
Yeah, fine. I'll talk about actual issues, since to you, facts are better than feelings. Ben Shapiro. This show has the worst interpretation of Veronica and JD. Like, Veronica is a literal murderer in this. The plan to blow up the school succeeds thanks to her. And not to mention she's so obsessed with JD. Bro literally hangs Ram in front of her. And that turns her on. As for JD, he's a loser. He loses most fights he has. Like he loses to Betty Finn in one of the worst, stupidest things I've ever seen.
Ballet, 6 years. Gymnastics, 12 years. Martial arts, 9 years.
Don't make me chase after you, Betty.
And 4 years of track and field.
He barely beats Heather Chandler, and he doesn't even kill Heather Duke. And speaking of the Heathers, McNamara's alright. She dies in episode 2, so there's not much to her. Though what we do see is pretty okay. But Duke and Chandler, what the fuck? At least Duke is bearable, but they both suck. Inconsistency is their main issue. They go from hating each other to liking each other to 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 each other. They also try to redeem Heather Chandler on multiple occasions, only to undo any character growth. But back on the idea of inconsistencies. The story is full of them. Like mentioned before, Veronica killed someone. She's known as the Croquet Killer. Heather and Heather find out, and then they say, "You're our monster." That's not how people react to murder! Don't even get me started on Veronica's and JD's romance. They go from loving each other to hating each other to fearing each other to loving each other to hating each other to fearing each other. I'm not doing this again. Something else they do is make callbacks to the movie. And just like a Heather song in an episode of Riverdale, it's forced. The line, "I love my dead gay son," is used, but the problem comes up when it's used twice on separate occasions. The ending of the movie is also redone, but with Heather and Martha. Issue is Heather's a piece of shit, so it's not warranted. There is a couple of things I like though, like the JD plot of episode 8. It's an actual commentary of the stupidity of school shooter drills, and we see JD take advantage of it to plan out the bombing. The show also attempts to add new themes, such as people on the left being disingenuous and the portrayal of violence in the news. And the ending actually does work at combining those thoughts together. Problem is, those themes are barely expressed, especially the news one. This show is just very nihilistic, and thus goes against the themes of the movie. We are all equal, and that's the world we should strive for. Even the musical followed through on that. And I hate musicals. See, I'm not a fan.
Wow, very informative, minus that one rant and other things. And I sure am glad we don't share the same voice, and thus only you've seen the show. But yeah, I still don't know which one I like more, the movie or musical. What I do know is that the 2018 show is the absolute worst.